This is my endothermic quadruped spot. Welcome to Best of Trek, Worst of Trek. I'm your host, Dustin Wing. In Search of Connection at 575, Hot for Hollows, or Alter Ego. While studying a nebula that should have burned itself out centuries ago, the crew takes some R&R time with Neil explaining a Hawaiian-style party on the holodeck. Apparently in the future, prostitutes are called entertainment directors, and Kim starts falling for a particularly interesting one. When he goes to Tuvok for help purging his emotions, Tuvok helps him, but at the same time goes to the holodeck and finds Morena, the hologram, intriguing. Plays Calto all night with her, and then Kim finds them. He's disappointed in Tuvok for spending time with his plaything, and spends the rest of the episode mad at him. Tuvok deletes the character in good faith, but later she shows up in his quarters playing Calto with the Doctor's mobile emitter. In the end, we find out a hidden space station in the nebula is what keeps it from burning up, and a single lonely woman took control of the hologram seeking companionship. Tuvok sneaks on board, tries to let her down gently, and urges her to take a new job and get out of her isolation, then goes on his merry way. For me, the most interesting part of the episode is when the Hawaiian holograms have been reprogrammed by Morena, and one tries to choke B'Elanna to death with a lei. Looking to the past at 574, Dukat hearts Nereese's mom. Or, wrong's darker than death or night. For no good reason, Dukat secretly contacts Kira in the middle of the night to wish her mom a happy posthumous birthday. And oh, by the way, we used to be lovers, bye! This really riles Nerese up, and she asks Sisko to ignore the Temporal Prime Directive and use his influence as the emissary to get her an audience with the Orb of Time, which could take her back in time and show her if what Dukat said was true if the prophets deem her worthy. I guess it works because she opens the orb box and ends up back in a Bajoran internment camp with her parents when her and her mother are taken as comfort women to Terok Nor. By the end, sure enough, her mother not only was used by Gul Dukat, but really seems to enjoy being in his company. And she just can't accept this. She plants a bomb to kill both Dukat and her mother, but warns them to get out after hearing a message from her father that he knew about it and was okay with it for the quality of the life of the family. Ultimately, she still isn't happy with what she finds out about her mother. For me, one of the more interesting things is in the intro when Kira breaks up O'Brien and Bashir gossiping on Ops, when it's something she and Jadzia are seen doing in many DS9 intros. Being kidnapped at 573. Cardassian Kira. Or Second Skin. On a trip to Bajor, Nerese is abducted, taken to Cardassia, and has Cardassian makeup applied. She finds herself in a Cardassian leader's house trying to be convinced that she's his daughter. Apparently his real daughter was an agent of the Obsidian Order made to look Bajoran with a wiped memory to go undercover. In reality, after wasting an entire episode trying to convince her she's something she's not, it turns out they're just trying to get the father to expose himself as a dissident. And then Garrick and other crew members show up to save Kira. I find the bits about blackmailing Garrick and his use of Cardassian Black Ops codes more interesting than the actual Kira plot. Keeps you wondering if he's still a spy. Because otherwise, why would he have working codes? Nana Visitor is extremely claustrophobic to the point that she can't be in the prosthetic for long, and at one point ripped her prosthetic off and walked off the set for the day. I know some like this episode a lot, but I can't find a lot of enjoyment in it. Going home to Moogie at number 572, Zek hearts Ishka. Or Ferengi love songs. When a vole nest takes residence in Quark's bar, he decides to go back to Ferenginar while the bar's closed. He doesn't give his mom a heads up, and she's very surprised to see him. When he tries to settle in, he finds the Grand Nagus and Magar do in his closet. He comes to find that the Nagus and his mom had become an item. Later, Brunt also shows up in his closet, promising to return his business license if he breaks the happy couple up. He does so only to find out the Nagus has become a bit senile, and his mother was the only thing standing in the way of complete collapse of Ferengi culture. He gets them back together and still gets to keep his business license and gets home. I love the running gag of people showing up in Quark's closet. There's a B-plot between Rom and Lita with him thinking she might be like Nog's mother, and just out for his money, and after doing a bunch of misogynistic pandering, he finally comes to the realization that he's not a typical Ferengi. Lita is not Nog's mother, and the best way to show her that he's been wrong is to give all his latinum to the Bajoran War Orphans Fund. This is a legitimately funny episode, though the plot is mostly worthless. Playing VR at 571, Geordi's mom on fire, or Interface. Geordi controls a probe on a dangerous ship trapped in a gas giant's atmosphere to find survivors through his visor interface. He soon finds out that Starship Hera, whose captain is his mother, has gone missing. Most have feared the worst since there's no trace whatsoever. The next time he uses the interface, he sees a figment of his mother on the trapped ship. Picard orders him not to use the interface anymore and leave this alone, because it's likely all in his head. Geordi can't leave it alone, goes back in with the interface, and finds out the fiery figment of his mother is really a life form from the planet's lower atmosphere that got trapped on the damaged ship when it went higher. He takes the ship down, destroying it, but freeing the life forms. This episode is the epitome of mediocrity. Rather than blackmail you into liking and subscribing today, I'd like to give credit to my 3 cats, Jasper, Ginger, and Loki, for putting up with being on the show the last few weeks. Oh, don't forget about Musha here. None of them are named Spot. Not aging gracefully at 570, Kate gets old. Or unnatural selection. The Enterprise comes to the distress call of the USS Lantry. They find the ship's crew dead of old age and leave it as a quarantined vessel. They travel to its last port of call, which is a genetic research station. Turns out the same rapid aging is happening on the station, and they beg the Enterprise to take their genetically enhanced children that have been in isolation and supposedly aren't infected. When Pulaski tries beaming one aboard a shuttlecraft to test it, she's infected. Turns out, the children's genetic enhancements that make them impervious to the disease can reach out and mutate viruses in the air around them to make the children not susceptible to them, with the negative side effect of making them superviruses that can infect non-genetic humanoids. Eventually, they figure out they can use the transporter to return people to their original age. Kinda seems like this could have been used as a fountain of youth, but we're not gonna return to the topic, because that would be way too convenient. Gives you more reason why, after the eugenics wars, Earth wasn't interested in genetic experimentation. And hey, we finally get to put a name to O'Brien's face after more than a season. Incapacitated at 569, coming of age, or distant voices. Bashir and Garrick go over whose culture has better literary works when it comes up that it's Bashir's 30th birthday, and he's not excited about feeling older. A Lethian doing business with Quark hits him up for biomimetic gel, and when he's turned down, starts looting the infirmary. When Bashir catches him in the act, the Lethian attacks him with his mind attack and traps him in his own head. Bashir wanders around a mock-up of the station, encountering main characters that represent different parts of his being, as he rapidly ages, trying to repair the damage to the station that represents his mind. In the end, he outsmarts his imagined version of the Lethian and wakes up, finally satisfied to be 30. This episode won an Emmy for makeup and is way more credit than I'd give it. Being found at 568, no longer stranded. Or false prophets. Voyager detects an Alpha Quadrant power signature on a pre-warp planet. When they investigate, they find the two Ferengi that stranded themselves in the Delta Quadrant in the TNG episode The Price. They spend time trying to convince the Ferengi to leave before finally trying to trick them. Ultimately, the people of the planet force them to leave by attempting to burn them alive. Voyager used some technobabble to pull the original wormhole back to the area, and through some malfeasance on the part of the Ferengi, their shuttle is pulled in, but leave Voyager stranded. It's better than the TNG episode that preceded it, but that's all I can say about this one. Making an Awkward Father at 567, Picard is Human, Part 2. Or Bloodlines. Bringing back a Season 1 bad guy with just a few episodes left in the series run, the Ferengi Bach contacts the Enterprise to let Picard know that he's going to kill his son. You know, the one Picard never knew he had. Giving Picard a chance to go find the boy, now a 20-something, grow a 5-minute parental bond with him, and then Bach steals him away with a long-range transporter. By the end, Picard knows it's not his son, but goes to save him all alone anyway, just to have an anticlimactic ending of convincing Bach's Ferengi crew that there's no profit in this for them. We do get to see Picard as more than just Horatio Hornblower, but it's not even enough to make it better than the original Picard Maneuver episode, which suffers from being a Season 1 mess. This one drags pretty hard. Making a long-distance collect call at 566. Reg got conned. Or Inside Man. When 2 data streams from Earth to Voyager in a row don't make it, Reg Barclay starts worrying that it's more than just bad luck with the transgalactic telegraph service. Turns out a hologram modeled after him that was supposed to help Voyager was intercepted by the Ferengi and reprogrammed to fool Voyager into attempting some technobabble to get home. In reality, it will get the ship home, but the crew will be dead and the Ferengi are just waiting to harvest 7 of 9's nanoprobes for sale on the black market. Reg's original worry is confirmed when he seeks the help of his former counselor and shipmate Deanna Troi, who helps him get to the heart of the problem. A woman he was dating that just used him to gain information on the Midas project he works on and pass it on to the Ferengi. He ends up bluffing the Ferengi into leaving and closing the geodesic fold they're trying to get Voyager through before the crew dies going in. On Voyager, the Barclay hologram schmoozes for a while, upsets the Doctor, but is eventually taken offline and found out. This might be the best Troi is ever written across all Trek, and is the saving grace to this one. Otherwise, the Reg episodes in Voyager are usually pretty great, except this one. It drags, and the Ferengi seem like a real diversion from an actual Voyager episode in the final season. Just trying to keep Barclay relevant so that he can have more impact in the finale. Or something.
Ah, computer!
That program is available.
Thanks, Majel. Majel. Thanks, Majel.
Enter access code.
Thanks, Majel.
Shuttle Bay 3 force field activated.
Majel.
0322 exactly.
Thanks, Majel.
Jason Vigo is in holodeck 4.
Thanks, Majel.
Specify parameters.
Thanks, Majel.
Input algorithm not accepted.
Majel.
That program is currently running.
Thanks, Majel.
Transfer complete.
Majel.
The trajectory ends in sector 39542,
42, grid 8.
Thanks, Majel.
Download complete.
Majel.
Installation complete.
Thanks, Majel.